All right, good evening. Welcome to the July 19th, 2022 meeting of Manchester Town Council. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. This is, thanks, Kelly. So apologize for not being here last week. I assume basically everybody here probably lost power. And we didn't even, at the time we had to make a call and having the meeting, didn't have a full accounting of where we had down trees and what emergency issues we had or down power lines or anything. So it just was not possible to meet. So I think this is, I was first elected in 1999 as a member of the town council. This is the first time we've ever met. You're making a little face at me like that means we're both old now. This is the first time we ever met on the third Tuesday.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking like, not that I'm a huge baseball fan, I don't get way off topic here already, but in the past 23 years, I've never seen a baseball all-star game, so I used to watch that when I was a kid.
Right.
Because it's always the second Tuesday in July, and then sure enough, this year, for some reason, it's the third Tuesday,
Flips
and
to
we
the
got bumped
third,
to the third
yeah.
Tuesday. So it's just the way it's supposed to be, I suppose. All right, we'll start with the approval of the May 10th, 2022 minutes. Should have a copy, and they were distributed electronically. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 10th minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
By the way, we do have a quorum. We're missing two, so you guys are going to get your full share of motions and seconds tonight. We'll break up the treasurer's stuff. So we have May 2022 treasurer's report. Do we have a motion to receive the treasurer's report from May?
I'll make a motion to receive the May 2022 Treasurer's Report.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then same thing for June. Do we have a motion to receive the June treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to receive the June 2022 Treasurer's Report.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Mayor's report. A couple of announcements here. Yard waste pickup will continue every Wednesday through November. Residents should place lawn waste curbside on Tuesday evening for Wednesday's pickup. I know at least in my area they tend to be out pretty early. I don't know if that's carries through everywhere, so yeah, put it out Tuesday if you can. Yard waste must be placed in those large craft paper bags or in a container to be dumped. No plastic bags, trash bags, those sort of things, because that stuff's going right to mulch. Please make sure that the containers, put it in more than one container if it's going to be over 50 pounds. Water bills are due July 30th. This is one of those two tricky water bills that's due the day they're all due on the 30th, even though the end of the month is the 31st. National Night Out, Tuesday, August 2nd. Is that the first time that'll be back in 2 years?
Yes.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. Tuesday, August 2nd here, Carnival Grounds, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Deepest sympathies to the family of Mr. Dan Riley, passed away June 25th at the age of 91. A couple of announcements. He graduated from Manchester High School in 1948, served honorably in the United States Army from 52 to 54. He was employed as the town of Manchester's first full-time manager, overseeing creation of Christmas Tree Park, tennis courts, sports fields. Later served on the town council for a number of terms and was project manager for the Main Street revitalization. He recently volunteered his time working with the town of Manchester administrative officials, worked extensively with the group who established the Manchester Historical Organization, which exists down at the old town office. He lived for his family and commitment to helping others and will long be remembered. His faith in God was unshakable. He was kind and gentle man who touched so many lives and inspired all of us to be better selves. So I did mention I was first elected in 1999. I was in my mid-20s. I had the good fortune of sitting next to Mr. Riley for 12 years. And so this is true, he's a soft-spoken guy. And then I had some big ideas. I think in those days I'd say something, he'd lean over and it was like whisper. And then I started to learn to ask him why things were the way they were before making up my mind that things should always be different. So I learned a lot from him, and I'm very grateful for that time.
And I was fortunate when I first got elected, he was still on the council too, and I learned a great many things from him. He was fantastic.
Yeah. But you never get an email or a text from him.
No, that's one of the big things I learned from him.
That's
Don't
one
put
thing you
anything in email.
That's all I have, so I'll turn it over to Town Administrator.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. We'll go through the June 2022 Administrative Report. Last week, my report was 2 minutes. This week, it's probably 5, so just bear with me. So the North Carroll Rec Council and Town of Manchester Joint Use Agreement, that was signed by both parties, and copies were sent to the Rec Council and also a copy to Carroll County Parks and Rec. Under fiscal recovery funds, the town was notified on June 30th that the county commissioners approved $520,252 from their recovery funds to assist Manchester in supplementing our water main replacement project. Manchester, Union Bridge, and Westminster received funding out of that surplus funding from the county. So that was a good shot in the arm for us, and we'll use the remaining part of the water main project out of our own ARPA funding. The ENR upgrade, the engineering group has responded to MDE's review comments. I'm strongly recommending that a workshop be set with our engineering group and staff to review our options to keep the project moving. Actually, I was looking at next Wednesday, July 27th at 7 p.m. That may be a problem. I was wondering about Tuesday, July 26th, if that would be a possibility, or even possibly Thursday the 28th.
I'm gone all week.
Okay, so
26 I could do.
26. I'd really like to have as many here as possible to
It's not a
your
great
options.
week for me.
Okay, why don't,
I'm fine with either.
okay, why don't we think about that, and we
What
might.
time are you talking, Steve?
What's that, excuse me?
You're talking about the evening?
Yeah, 7 p.m. if possible.
I think I can do the 28th.
Okay.
But Chris can only do the 26th.
20, yeah, I'm out of town the 27th, 28th.
I'm out of town 26, 27.
I'm out of town all next week.
Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit, and I'll throw some dates out because we have to let our engineering firm know to make them available, and then we'll go from there. So, okay, very good. Under code enforcement and zoning, you have in front of you the monthly code enforcement update. The town did receive a petition for annexation in regards to the Cook Farm. This is a property located between Susan Ann Drive and Southwestern Boulevard. This encompasses approximately 13.9 acres. That's a small little island down in Manchester Farm, section 4-5, down in the bottom there, off of Jamar Drive, down in that area. So you'll be hearing more from that later. The town code, we're still reviewing chapters 81 and 22. Lippy Old Town Traffic Study Workshop, they did reach out to us last week, and we want to get back to them to set up a workshop so we can review the traffic study that was sent to us. Right now, it's under draft. I think they want to discuss this and finalize it to get it out to SHA. Under miscellaneous items, an agenda item you have is a resolution in regards to personnel policy updates. We'll go over that once we get to that. The mayor talked about National Night Out. That's Tuesday, August 2nd from 6 to 8. And you may have noticed that the Manchester Valley High School sign has been put up. It's not been put in service yet, I don't believe, but it is there, and it's been erected. So switching paths a little bit, I want to give you a storm update from last Tuesday's storm. The storm rolled through about 4:30 p.m. By 5 p.m., we had trucks on the street, no matter whether it was maintenance department or water and sewer trucks. We had men on the street. By 7 o'clock that evening, all the streets were open and passable for emergency vehicles. That's one thing that we do, whether it's in a storm event or a snow event. We always make sure they're passable for emergency vehicles and make sure it's safe. Lucky enough, we didn't have any lines down within the town. We worked very closely with our police department. One thing that did go down, and our portable radios that we just purchased last year, which was an excellent move because the repeater went down. First of all, our cell phones went out. We didn't have cell service. So then the repeater that controls our radios went down because that didn't have any electric. Just by luck, when we designed our radio system, we did a pass-by channel or a talk-by channel, where we could flip it over on a channel and we could communicate between ourselves without using the repeater, which worked out very well within the town. Now, if we had trucks outside of town, it wouldn't reach more than a mile, but it worked out very well for us. So the next day, of course, we lost power. We started all of our emergency generators. We had a glitch at one of the generators, which our personnel took care of. We got that on board. The power came on throughout the town, different times. Some came on at 1 a.m., others come on at 6 a.m., but usually about 9 a.m. that next morning, all power was supplied into the town, and we were under normal power. The only glitch we had with that was our power coming into town was either showing us low voltage or high voltage. And our electronics are so sensitive that it sensed that, and our generators had to run, and we made the decision, which was a good decision, to basically isolate all of our equipment, run our emergency generators, so we isolate the outside power until they got the problem straightened out, which we did that for about 24 hours, I believe. And once the power settled itself down, everything straightened out, then we flipped everything back under normal power. So that worked out very well. We did find a few glitches in our emergency management plan, which we took care of right away. But all in all, you know, our folks did an outstanding job, and I can't say enough about those folks. We had guys out there working as many as 20, 24, 25 hours, you know, and taking care of our water and wastewater system. So that being said, we are putting together a request by Carroll County, which we're going to put a request in for about $32,000, which once they combine all the towns in the county, they're going to submit it to MEMA to see if MEMA will reimburse the towns in the county in the monies that were lost. So that will go in tomorrow. Kelly and I are working on that, so we'll put that request in. So anyway, that's enough on the storm update. So,
Steve, can I cut in real fast?
excuse
With our radios that lost power, are they, with the radios that lost power that were then flipped over?
Yep.
Is the power to those something that is or should be connected to a backup generator, or am I not thinking about it correctly?
No, we have it covered both ways. So if need to be, they could take their radios to charge them at the treatment plant or this facility that's under power, under generator power, but then also we purchase vehicle chargers for them so they can charge within their vehicles. So if they do go dead, you know, they can charge them right in to their vehicle charger and will charge up.
Okay.
So, yep. But that was a very good move when we did that. So, okay, real quick, and I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on this, but I want to make you aware of this. You probably heard across the board, whether it's in the newspaper or on the news, about the PFAS compounds that they are finding in drinking water. And this is across the board. And when I use the term drinking water, I don't care whether it's a municipal supply or whether it's a domestic supply on a homeowner's well. This is something that's come about over the last few years that has everybody in the water industry concerned. So the PFAS compounds they have found are coming from firefighting foam. Some of that had the product in. Fertilizer, also from Teflon, from cooking pans. So the PFAS compounds are considered a forever chemical. And the forever chemical is forever. And some of the ways that you can treat this is through granular filtration, through charcoal filtration. It's very, very expensive. Reverse osmosis, things like that. It's something that we have to think about. We have to think about because of this. So a few years ago, MDE came in and tested all of our wells, all of our finished drinking water. And we had some hits for the PFAS compounds, like everybody probably does on the East Coast or across the country. At the time, the hits that we got were not considered very high hits. They were down around the 11 parts per trillion range and below, but we did receive some hits. There are other areas within the county that received much higher hits than what Manchester did. So at that time, there was no MCL or maximum contaminant level set, but the goal was 70 parts per trillion. And if your supply showed about 25 to 35 parts per trillion, that was alarming, and you got on a special testing schedule with MDE, which we didn't have to. Everything was below the level. Unfortunately, the EPA has come out, and we were hearing rumblings that they would lower the level to 14, I believe, parts per trillion. Is that right? 4 parts per trillion. 4 or 14? I thought it was 14. But anyway, 4, whatever, 4 or 14, because when I tell you this, so it looks like EPA is going to lower that to 0.02 parts per trillion. Parts per trillion. To my knowledge, there's only 1 or 2 labs in the state of Maryland that can detect that low of a value when it comes to the PFAS compounds. This has got the water suppliers in the state just truly alarmed, because to treat the product, you're talking millions of dollars to treat your municipal water supplies. So I want to bring that to your attention because you're going to be hearing it. I think if you have any pull within MML, I think MML should be pushing back on this a little bit. But it is absolutely ridiculous that those levels are set that low. Now, whether the levels have been set yet, I don't believe they have, because I think EPA is getting some pushback from different organizations, but it does have an effect on our system in the future. So we just have to think about that. So, yeah, 0.02 parts per trillion.
As opposed to, what was that first number you said, 70?
Well, 70 was, like, that was kind of a goal,
Okay.
an unwritten goal. And then if you got, like, between 25 and 35, that was an alarming range where MDE would put you on a routine testing schedule.
Okay.
And then it was lowered to 4.
I'm sorry, I think you're right, it was 14.
I thought it was 14.
And I thought the new number was 0.04.
Yeah, it's 0.02, yep, parts per trillion. So, but, yeah, it's just something we have to think about. Because you have to remember, this is a forever chemical, and I keep coming back to that. So even if it's removed through granular system or reverse osmosis, you still have a byproduct. And how are you going to get rid of that byproduct that's laced with the chemicals within the compound? I think the PFAS compounds, I think they tested us for 18 different compounds within the PFAS compound itself. So, but yeah, so it's just something to think about. And I wanted to bring that to your attention because I don't want it to be, forgotten about as time goes on. You have to keep that in the back of your mind. So, anyway, my last item I have, as the mayor stated a few weeks ago, we lost a good gentleman. He was a mentor, an outstanding citizen, and a fine public servant. Something that I looked up, that both he and Catherine, his wife, had a total of 128 years of public service to the town of Manchester. That's truly amazing. That's truly amazing. One thing I wanted to bring to the mayor and council is I believe the Historical Center was thinking about putting in a research area in the building down there, like a room. And I'm kind of recommending to the mayor and the council that they contact the historical committee and possibly maybe name this area the Daniel C. and Catherine L. Raleigh area, or room for research and genealogy studies, because Catherine really enjoyed doing genealogy, and Danny was an expert when it comes to town history. So if we could do that, I'd really appreciate that. So,
I can take the lead on that.
very good.
But I'm already working, can you guys help me
Sure.
you know, get in touch with the right people and making sure that,
Mhm.
you know, we're handling this the right way, but I can, I'd be happy to help, take charge of that.
As I told some of my employees, you know, proclamations are good, but they're only written on a piece of paper. Here, you know, you have something that you can remember them by, so.
You know,
Yeah.
128 years, I'm sure it's never happened before and won't happen again.
No, I doubt that, yeah. Not that, yeah, that's right, so.
Yes.
Anyway, that was a lot of information in a long period of time. I apologize for being long-winded, but do you have any questions for me?
Hey, Steve, the new Manchester Valley High School sign, I didn't really notice it coming north. There's like a big tree hanging out. Is that something that we take care of, or is that something that the
That's the
school?
school board,
Okay.
and probably the committee that worked with the Board of Education will let them know that that limb is in the way. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm sure they will, but I'll put a bug in, Jim March is here with the Board of Education, so I'll let him know that, so.
There was a pretty vocal group that worked on that, so
I drove right by it. I was like, well, there it was, because I didn't see it
Yeah.
come up the
Yeah.
thing, so.
yeah. Any questions for town administrator? All right, Rodney?
All right, Steve really raised the bar on this one, so I'll try to be a little quicker.
Please, you got long-winded, I tell you.
Please see the monthly, good evening, Mayor and Council. Please see the monthly water and wastewater data report for June 2022. As you may notice, we are trending in the right direction despite 10 leaks that we found on our side and the private side, and our regular flushing at the Wards area and Grafton Street. AT&T and antenna modifications at York Tower, nothing new to report on this. I need to send out a special thanks to a lot of folks. The DPW staff, Ridgely Court and Park Ridge neighborhood, and the fire department. On Wednesday, July 6th, it was actually a parade night at the carnival. We had a very difficult dig up. It was a leak on Ridgely Court, right near Brightside, right above the mayor's house. Very difficult digging. We had many underground utilities. It was all hand digging. The guys got poured on rain, then it got hot. Very difficult. It was 6 feet deep, 6 feet long, 4 feet wide hole that we had to dig by hand. So special thanks to the staff, and a great job. And all through the night, local residents brought out cold drinks to the guys all night. The fire department kept everyone fed with pizza from the carnival, and I almost forgot the funnel cookies from Steve's almost famous funnel cake stand. Super thanks to everybody. Oh, I'm sorry, world famous.
Almost world famous.
Del Well interior piping rehab project, that's finally at 100% complete, our town staff. Manchester water line replacement project, construction and inspection services, nothing new. Steve touched on this, the wastewater treatment plant E&R upgrade, the PER, MDE's comments have been addressed, and we have received the final PER as of a couple weeks ago. We're creating a facilities improvement plan for the wastewater treatment plant. This is a new MDE discharge permit requirement. It's due September 2022. I'm working on this with our wastewater staff. Stormwater inlet and piping repairs. I had a pre-bid meeting with local contractors on June 29th, 2022. The bids were due the 15th, but I'm going to extend this because of lack of bids and lack of interest. I'm going to reach out to some more contractors. Salt bin building rehab project, nothing new. Christmas Tree Park ADA Playground Equipment Edition, nothing new. We're expecting this after Labor Day. Dump truck replacement, we're still on schedule for delivery of August or September. The folks from Carroll County Resource Management did their annual training with our town staff. That's the annual Stormwater Management National Pollution Discharge Elimination System training. It's a yearly thing. So that's all I have on my report. I have 3 action items coming up next. If you have any questions, I'll answer them now. Good. Okay. Okay, number 1, purchase of 15 Permalogger water leak detectors. These are new generation leak detectors that we bought 22 last year from the same company. This is also a request of a small change. We actually budgeted for a leak correlator, but since that was approved, our guys have gotten familiar with the new generation permaloggers, and these actually have leak correlation capabilities, which is leak correlation is pinpointing where the leak is. So in a sense, they still correlate the leaks. So we're getting 2 functions out of 1 device. So if you have any more questions, I can try to ask.
Do we put it out for bid and then just got a bid from the same company?
It's a sole source because this company is the provider for this model and make, yeah.
So, in regards to the permaloggers, I know we've bought them in the past. We've had them, we've used them, we've put them out. In the past couple months, we seem to have had some fairly significant water leaks, and I understand that, our infrastructure is aging, and that's to be expected.
Yes.
Some of these leaks, I understand, have been we're not catching them very quickly. It's taken us a while to find them. Are we not putting the permaloggers in the right spot? Are we missing them? Are they not doing what we originally thought they would do? Is it just a combination of all of that? Like, do we have them in one side of
They are
town and we're breaking in the other? Is
We
it?
only have 22, and these are designed to be set and left in the same spot. So right now, we have them on Main Street and Park Avenue, York Street. So we have that area covered. The other areas, when we have our numbers are really high, we go out physically with an S30, with a listening device, a lot of times late at night, and we do find some on our own.
Okay.
But that area is covered, so, and they're real time, and they'll send out an alarm. So if there's a leak on Main Street or York or Park Avenue, they'll send us an alarm, and we'll go right to that area. Our goal is to eventually, someday, blanket the whole town with them.
So where are you anticipating putting these 15?
Uh,
Like what section would be the next most likely to leak? If that's even a,
I'd have to meet with staff and find out what the hot spots are.
And then, I guess the hot spots would be, is it aging?
Usually, but
the
sometimes
bridge is not that old.
aging,
Not as
we
old.
try to fix it on aging, like the Main Street is older, York Street and Park Avenue. Park Avenue's been a hot spot in the
yeah, it
past.
seems like we've had like
Yeah.
4 or 5 of them in the past
Yes.
couple months, right
Right.
there on Park Avenue.
And then we were having them a few years ago due to high water pressure, like over in Halley too. So maybe, like, why are they happening?
Pardon me?
I know the one originally, I know why it happened, but
Why are they happening here late? Why have we
you
had
know what
so
I'm
many
saying
lately?
is the determination of where to put them, maybe, we may have, now that we may have more data points about where they're happening, then we then know why they happen, and then know where to put the listeners.
I don't understand the question.
Simply tracking them.
Don't listen to me.
Okay.
Tracking the leaks and looking, charting the leaks so that we have a better idea of where, updated charts.
Okay. Well, right now we have zones. We were moving them, and we found that it's better to leave them, but we have zones set up, like 4 different zones through town. Right now, this is zone 1. So the next round, we'll put them in 2.
I guess that's where I was.
You know what I mean?
That's where I was
that
going
makes
with that, because I remember at one point we were moving them in different locations. I felt like we were constantly behind trying to chase them down.
They seem to work better if you leave them alone, and they're learning devices.
Oh, jeez. All right. No, I just got something a little off.
So with all that said, I'm requesting the town's approval to purchase 15 water leak detectors in lieu of the leak correlator from 540 Technologies in the amount of $18,345.
All right, we have a motion to approve this bid.
I'll make a motion. We go with the staff recommendation to award the bid for 15 perma loggers to 540 Technologies in the amount of $18,345.
I'll second.
Motion second, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right,
Okay, thank you. Next on the list is the street and town facility asphalt rehab project, FY '23. This was put out to bid and we received 4 proposals. And MT Laney Incorporated came in as the lowest responsible bidder at $264,160.02. The budgeted amount for 2023 is less. It's $249,500. If we can get this to go, if we can find the funds to fund this whole thing, we will, in a sense, be caught up because last year we pulled many streets out to meet budget. So if we can make this work, and I did meet with Kelly on this, and she may be able to work her magic.
I'll start my audit next week. I'm hoping to know by next week what we'll have left over from this current year that we can cover. And I think it's best interest to take care of the streets.
And this is for all the streets that we had originally,
Correct, yeah.
okay.
I agree.
The thing is, if we wait, it may be more expensive next year, the way,
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
maybe more expensive in 3 months.
Right.
All right,
At my pre-bid meeting, the contractors said that asphalt's going up $50 per ton per month.
all right.
I'll make a motion, we go with the staff recommendation to award the street and town facility asphalt rehabilitation projects to MT Laney in the amount of $264,160.
I'll second that.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, one more, Ron.
Okay, thank you. So last, the inspection services for the street and town facilities asphalt rehab project. This is to ensure that the contractor sticks with the specs and scope of the bid documents. We received 2 proposals, WBCM, $12,592.50, and the second one was $17,383.80. That was DFI. A little over budget. We budgeted $12,000 for this project. We have used them before. They've gotten it the last 2 years as our inspector and done a great job.
All right, we have a motion to approve the WBCM.
I'll make a motion that we approve the WBCM bid in regard to inspection services, street and town facility asphalt rehabilitation projects fiscal year '23, in the amount of $12,592.50.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Anything else for Director of Public Works? All right, moving on. Chief Hess isn't able to make it tonight. I'll read, you should have a copy of the police report. I'll read it for the record. Mayor and council members, for the month of June, handled 232 citizens' calls for service. 21 of those calls were assisting Sheriff's Office in Hampstead. We had 0 Part 1 crimes. We did have 2 assaults. Both were isolated and cleared by arrest. Traffic enforcement issued 286 citations and warnings during the month. On the opioid front, the total number of opioid overdoses across the county is down this year. There have been 145 overdoses. That's a decrease of 19% compared to the same period last year. The number of fatalities also decreased by 21% for the same period in 2021, which is good. 22 fatals versus 28 last year. The towns accounting for those: Manchester 4, Hampstead 3, Sykesville 1, Tonytown 8, Mount Airy 2, Westminster 48. Congratulations to Manchester Volunteer Fire Department and all those who helped out, volunteered, were part of the putting the carnival together. I know the police are up there every night as well. I made as many nights as I could, including the parade night in the rain, which actually turned out to be a pretty good time. Steve, you weren't there, but I did take shelter under your porch for a little bit. Yeah. As I was moving my way around. Yeah, I mean, I think by all accounts, it was a pretty successful carnival. I don't know any details on numbers or number of visitors or anything like that, but it certainly was nice to have it back in town. The chief writes here that crowds were at historic levels. It was a long week, but a good week, very few minor issues. Meeting national best practices, we shut down the parade route for citizen safety. This could not have been accomplished without the assistance of Department of Public Works, the fire department personnel. Everyone played a part, giving our town residents and visitors a safe atmosphere. Fireworks display was also a huge attraction, but again, it was all pleasant and safe. Have a nice week, Chief Hess. So I don't know that I can answer them, but any questions on the police report? All right, moving on, discussion of resolution 03-2022, modifying personnel policy manual regarding the descriptions, responsibilities of certain positions, and other matters related to benefits.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and move forward with this. So you have in front of you a packet of information, and I will go right down through the list, and everything should be in order that you can look at, and the changes that are being requested are in red. So we'll start off, and the first item is Chapter 12, and the change of that is the town administrator shall review the performance of the Director of Finance, Director of Public Works, and the zoning administrator. That was an add-in that we put in. Okay, the next thing is Chapter 14. And if you see in the first section 1, the policy, there's an addition for an employee working 80 hours per 2-week period, which is the police department. A day would be 10 hours. And then if you go back to page 37, in that same chapter, you will see section D, separation benefit, and that is accumulated annual leave days not to exceed 35. We raised that from 30 to 35. What's that? Yeah, it matches what is in B. That is correct.
Steve, may I ask one clarifying question on this section before we move on? In regards to section 9, personal leave under bereavement, am I reading that correctly, that they are 100% on board offering bereavement, but it's from day after death to funeral? My question on that is, and we may have talked about this, considered it, if we stipulate that it has to be the day after the death, a lot of times things aren't prepared that early.
We
Is there the-
work with our employees.
Okay, I would say, do we
Yeah, I
have the
think-
opportunity that
yeah.
if they need to take, if they need to take time a couple weeks later or something
Yes.
for whatever reason?
With the permission of their immediate
Okay.
supervisor. Yep, so we cover that.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Yep, we understand and we work with the employee on that, so.
Okay.
Okay. So moving to Chapter 15, Health and Life Insurance and Other Benefits, under Section 1, under Health Insurance. A health insurance program providing individual coverage shall be offered by the town at a reduced cost to each employee who may wish to participate. The town also offers individual dental coverage and vision coverage for the participating employee. So we did remove some of that because over the past few years, we have not been offering the full insurance where the employee pays a portion, and we wanted to clean that up. So, also, if you flip the page onto page 44, section 3, under life insurance, you'll see that we've increased that from $15,000 to $25,000 term life insurance, and that's been that way for several years. So most of these are housekeeping changes that we've done. The next item is Chapter 17, which is page 49, and that's the organization table. So now we get into the job description chapter. And you'll see under the town administrator, number 19, we'll go into the second sentence. 19, the second sentence. Assumes the responsibility to appoint, to suspend, and to remove all town employees with the approval of the mayor and council, except for the director of finance, the police chief, and members of the police department. The director of public works was in there, and that should not have been in there because the town administrator, the director of finance, town administrator, and the police chief are all appointed by the mayor and council. So, that the town administrator can't get rid of that. So,
And then there's separate rules for police department, too.
that is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. So, now we get into the meat of some changes, where the next few sections, we've changed a few things along the way. One thing that we did do was we took the water and wastewater superintendent and we split that position in half. With these changes, we now have a wastewater superintendent and a water superintendent. Well, what goes along with that is, as we go down the personnel chart, it changes things as far as the operators, who they report to. It changes things as far as the director of public works and who that person is responsible for. So it changes a lot throughout the whole personnel grouping. I can go through each one. I don't know if it's necessary unless you have some questions about them. One thing that we did add that comes to my mind is the park supervisor position. If you look at the park supervisor's position, we did add that person serves as a member of the Joint Use Review Board as it relates to the joint use agreement between the town of Manchester and North Carroll Rec Council. So that was an addition because that's in the agreement, that was in the agreement, but it wasn't in that person's job description. So, Rodney, you worked on most of those. Did I hit all the high points as far as the job descriptions when it comes to public works?
I believe so. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. One thing we did add that comes to my mind is the maintenance, facilities maintenance position. And we did add some additional duties onto that position as far as developing a O&M for our emergency generators that person would be responsible for. And I know you have it, but I can't locate mine. No, I think we're good. There it is, facilities maintenance specialist. And we added, page 81, we added, may be required by the Director of Public Works to develop and implement a preventive maintenance program for emergency standby generators, vehicles, and equipment. So pretty much splitting those departments up means that there is a possibility that one of our operators would move up into that wastewater superintendent's position. That's for later discussion. So.
Any questions on any of these changes?
No.
I will make a comment. The reason the changes for the Director of Public Works and the hiring and firing is, we had a town manager many years ago, got rid of his position, created basically inside and outside, and that's how we put into the charter as far as the provisions to hire a fire. And then years later came back with the town administrator, and I think that was just a leftover from, the things we just didn't catch, so that's clear, just clear that up a little bit.
All right, Steve, so you're gonna be we're looking for a motion.
Motion to accept resolution number 03/2022. The way our attorney put this together, it was to be adopted last week, but of course that has to change, which is not a problem. Just the date. That's not a problem.
Yeah. So maybe the motion, say as of the 19th,
Yes.
and then we'll just change the paperwork and then.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 03/2022 as of July 19th.
I'll second that.
The motion and the second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Steve, Kelly, Rodney, everybody, thank you for all your work on this. It seems like it's an exercise that every couple of years.
It is,
It's just,
you have to, look in there and see what changes you need to make. And that's one thing when we passed the drug policy, we had to bring it up to today's modern standards, so.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to stay on top of that, so.
all right, committee reports, planning and zoning, Councilman Cudjoe.
Yep, we did meet last month. Just one topic on the agenda was some reps from the Maverick One Solar Project. Just some back and forth discussion on some outstanding items that are still up in the air. There was still some questions from the board, so we were waiting, I think, still some questions to be answered before we move forward there. That was it.
Okay. Councilwoman Miller?
All right, well, as Steve mentioned earlier, and you mentioned as well, National Night Out is coming back on the first Tuesday of August at the Activities Building. Tracy and Steve and Kelly, Chief, have been working really hard. I've been in contact with them, lining things up. We've reached out to some new groups. Some of the groups that we've had in the past are returning, some are not. We've had to get kind of creative on some of them. We've reached out to some of the schools. We have support from some of the teachers and things who are volunteering some of their time. So we're excited to see some new faces, and hopefully, this may not be quite as big as some of the years in the past, but we've got some excellent support from the community. I know that she's touched base with, different things for as many donations as we can possibly do. So if you're free, make sure you make it out that night.
Very good. Councilman Pacelli?
I have nothing to report. However, the North Carroll Business Alliance is meeting this Thursday at noon, or 12:30 rather.
All right, and then we have one person signed up, is it Stephen Castro? Yeah, do you mind? It's not very well mic'd if you lean back, and it's certainly, you can't really hear much.
here?
Yeah, if you don't mind,
Okay.
that mic's a little better too.
Good evening, Mayor, Town Council. My name's Steve Castro. I live on Millie Way and been a 35-year resident of Millie Way there. Seen a lot of changes to our neighborhood over the years. When I first moved there, we were pretty much a standalone neighborhood. Once they built Crossroads Overlook, they did link our roads together and created a little path from Route 27 over to Friday Mill Road. Once Halley Hills was constructed, that also connected us to Halley Avenue, which connects us out to Route 30. Our street, which was never designed to hold this kind of traffic, is now becomes an impromptu Manchester bypass when traffic on 27 and 30 get bad. I have gone to the council here, it's been 4 years ago, I think I came in front of you and expressed my concerns about the traffic and the speed. Talked to Chief Hess about it several times. I've been over to the department, knocked on the door, talked to people there, talked to officers driving through the neighborhood, asking if we can have some enforcement. I really, about all I ever see is, we get a patrol car drive through the neighborhood occasionally. They never stop. They never see what's going on. I walk my dog probably between my wife and I 4 times a day. I can no longer walk my dog on our street because of the danger of the people speeding through our neighborhood and not paying attention. Most of the people I see driving through our neighborhoods got their phones like this in front of them. They're not even watching what they're doing. On July 1st, about 10 p.m., I was taking the dog out for the last time, walking up the street towards traffic with a flashlight, when I had a car come speeding down the street and literally drive me off I had to jump off the road onto a lawn. I called Chief Hess Saturday morning, and left him a message on his voicemail, he wasn't in, detailing the incident and my thoughts about the speed in the neighborhood. I left my name, my number, hadn't heard anything back. I'm fed up with the people speeding through our neighborhood, nothing being done about it. And like I said, I've complained. I feel like I'm some old curmudgeon now that is complaining constantly and getting ignored. So,
So you said this one was at 10 p.m.
Mhm.
Mark lives in Millie, right? Oh, I'm getting
I
mixed
mean,
up.
Vince knows, all the people come right past
Yeah.
his house too now. I mean, we get traffic certain times of day, usually 4 to 5 p.m., the cars start zooming through the neighborhood.
Heading
And I
north.
hate to say, majority of the people, I walk my dog all the time. I know all the cars. Most of the cars that I see that are speeding down our street pull into one of the side streets in Halley Hills. It's our local residents and then some Pennsylvania license plates I see. And I've just asked numerous times, get some enforcement, stop, see what's going on. Walk the neighborhood maybe even. I know they talk about that with beat cops in the city, to see what's happening, because, I've addressed this several times. And I
That's
think,
kind of what I was getting at, is like they're kind of like two separate fronts, right? You have like the resident speeders at various points in the day, and then you have like the commuters. So a 10 p.m. person is probably a resident.
oh, it happens day and night,
Yeah.
and it's worse at night. The people fly through there at night. I live on the hill, the backside of the hill that leads down to Friday Mill Road. So I'm in that last block of Millie Way, which is where the stop sign is at the top of the hill, which leads you down to the circle at Friday Mill Road. I am directly in the middle of that block, and the peak speed of the people coming by. And I'm an engineer by trade. I know how to calculate speed by just checking a distance and time. 20 miles an hour is 29.6 feet per second. My neighbor's mailbox, Donnie Knott's, to my mailbox is 98 feet. It should take 3 Mississippis for somebody to get from their mailbox to my mailbox. And most of the time, I can get 1 Mississippi out and half a Mississippi, and that car's gone. And it's ridiculous. Shouldn't be happening.
So I have noticed there's been an uptick in like, it's every neighborhood too. It's because that's not.
And the phones in the face is all the time.
I know I know there was a lot of, for a while there was a good police presence. I'm in Crossroads, so I know what you're talking about. And a lot of times at Westminster Street, they sit there, and there's a few places they sit, but
I've seen them there.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
about the only time I do see them sit, is the little side street that goes down to the pump station, I guess, on Westminster Street. I do see them sit there on the hill. They need to do that in the rest of the neighborhood if they could. And, we just need some enforcement. I think if somebody realizes that there's consequences to speeding here, which apparently there is none lately, and the people are just doing whatever they please. I think if a couple tickets got handed out in the neighborhood, people would start understanding that they shouldn't be flying through the neighborhood like they are.
Okay. Yeah, point well taken. One thing I'll have a conversation with the chief.
The
I'm
car
not a
that
police
almost ran me
officer.
over, I know where they live. I wanted to make a report, and I never even got a call back.
Yeah, which it's maybe a separate thing, so I can't speak.
Yeah,
I can't
I
speak
get
to
it.
that,
I
but-
wish he was here tonight, because I really wanted to address him directly.
Which I'm sure he'll have that conversation with you.
Yeah, okay.
I can't speak for, I know he has been on vacation, so he hasn't been,
Right, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. It's been
Yeah.
2.5 weeks.
I bothered him on vacation too, so.
Okay.
And I don't think he was gone for 2.5 weeks, but anyway, maybe it's time to have a more, it's like a creative discussion around how do we catch, because I can name a dozen hotspots
Sure.
you know, in town where,
And since these roads have been linked, I mean, it literally becomes the bypass at certain times of the day. And in the morning, we have no, do not enter signs on Millie Way. You're not supposed to be, Augusta,
Yeah.
Millie, several of the streets are do not enter in the morning. That was enforced at one time. We did have some people, you know, some officers enforcing it. I haven't seen that in, you know, since the pandemic. I haven't seen any enforcement whatsoever. So people come through there in the morning when they're not supposed to. It's not as bad as it was because a lot of people are working from home now. I know the traffic has died down, but along with the traffic dying down is the speeds have gone up. And it
it's
seems
every-
like the cavalier attitude that nobody cares what the speed limit is.
yeah, like, the highways are terrifying now.
I get it. I get it. It's everywhere.
Yeah. All right, we'll see what we can do. I mean, this is like a, and I don't mean to make light of it, but like fighting,
I
traffic,
get
it's
it.
like
And
fighting
that was what
mosquitoes,
Chief
right?
has said to me the last time I was
Yeah.
there. But if I saw some enforcement going on, I would be satisfied. And I'm just not seeing it. And that's the frustrating part.
Okay,
Thank you.
we hear you.
Steve, at one point we had talked about buying extras of those movable speed signs that we have around. Is that an option we could look into?
Yeah, I think Chief is looking into the ones that are solar operated, like the one out
Mhm.
at the corner of Victory and York.
No.
I think he was looking into that, I can't.
Okay, not that I think that's gonna be the be-all, end-all to fix it.
We did that when I spoke last time. You guys brought the trailer in and put it on Donnie Knott's front lawn, and it lasted about a week. And it almost was a joke that people were seeing how fast they could go past it. I have to say, it's not a good deterrent.
Well, it's a deterrent for people that are trying to do the right thing, but to somebody else, it's not.
I know at one time Steve had talked about some traffic calming studies that were done in Pennsylvania, looking at some of that stuff. I mean, I know the guys that plow the roads hate speed bumps, but if something could be done like that, that certainly would help.
It- And we've tried those in the past, all they do is stop it at that point. And I think that engineers that we talked to, the traffic engineers said, essentially, if you take a beginning and an end point of whatever area you're studying, you put 3 speed bumps in, it doesn't change the overall time that person that thinks I ought to be moving at 40 miles an hour. So it's speed up, slow down,
I get it.
yeah.
Maybe it would help, maybe it wouldn't, but something's gotta be better than nothing at this point.
Okay, we hear you. All right, I do want to talk about one more thing before, and I don't know that we're going to have a solution to this tonight. I had a conversation with Ms. Doxson, and so during COVID, over the last couple months, I think maybe it was February, and then the June meeting we canceled because we knew we weren't going to have a quorum due to the convention MML getting moved because of the primary. And I did try to get in touch with her, but her phone was out a week ago, and then we connected over this past week. And just, you know, and when I'll say this, I think I told her, so if I've been here 23 years, we maybe have canceled a half dozen meetings over that. And most, if that, and most of those were probably snow until COVID. Most of the changes. And so, you know, things have changed, but, you know, if we're going to get these bad kind of storms, who knows if if we have to make a quick decision because of an infectious, you know, disease, and we can't get everybody into the same room really quickly. So how can we get out information? And I know some of the things that we do between Facebook and cable and the website, and there may be others, but if that's not getting to everybody, and I'm saying I don't have the answer to that. I just wanted to put more collective heads together. You have an idea?
Go to Mac.
What it boils down to is, how do we get the information out to people who are not computer literate? Who can't go on the website and find out.
Well, and last week, I mean, I'm sure we put it on there, but you couldn't access it. We didn't have power to be able to see the cable. We didn't have, you know, that was an extenuating circumstance.
But even if you have, you know, some of
You need to go to the mic.
and we don't, we're just not computer literate.
So again, I don't know that we're going to come up with that answer here in a couple of minutes, but, you know, like, it's worth a discussion if there's another way, and I don't know if we can institute a text message system, or that people could sign up for. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know David had passed on some information to town staff in regards to different ways of, I'm not leaning in for it, okay. in different ways of getting the word out to the public. Unfortunately, last week, if it would have been a text message, we would have had the problem because the phone systems were acting up. So, but it's a thought, it's another avenue to take, somehow getting that information out, you know.
Do we have the ability, excluding last week, because that's beyond our control, would we have the ability to leave a message on, like, on the town line that after hours, you call in, you get a voicemail, just the meeting, for the council meeting for July 19th is on as scheduled?
We probably can, except I think when the power's out here,
Right, I
phone
get
system
there,
doesn't work.
it's not gonna be the perfect
until the
fix, but,
generator kicks on. So
I mean, is that would that be an option to consider?
we can absolutely look into it. I don't know,
I'm not saying that
Yeah.
would catch everyone,
Right.
Anyway, but if they knew they could call the office on the day, on the day of the meeting,
well, without having electric at your house.
Right.
There was no way we were gonna be able to air the meeting anyway, so we couldn't even record it. Right.
right?
Well, most of the other recent ones, and they may not have been all the way canceled as much as we were on, and then it may have been February where like 2 people on the council had COVID at the same time. So we couldn't have them in here, and then we wouldn't be able to really operate anyway.
December.
So that situation could come up again. There's some new variant in the way things get canceled now that, so.
As I told you, I even had trouble, I couldn't go on the website and find anything,
I did put it on the website.
but I am really computer illiterate. I couldn't find it.
Again, I don't know that we're gonna solve it now, but I'd bring it up and we can put our heads together to try to figure out. That if we have some folks that don't have access to everything, how can we communicate with them? Or notify them of changes?
I think the text message alert is probably your best bet.
And that's something they have to sign up for, like,
Right.
probably, we don't wanna push it out like it's an
Sure,
alert,
no, but if you opt in, if you opt
Meeting's on
into it,
scheduled.
yeah.
But then again, you do have a population in the older part of town, they don't have the smartphones.
You can get text messages on a
Any
non-cell
phone,
phone.
yeah, you don't.
I know, but they still have issues.
Well, I mean, let's look at some options and see, maybe we can reach out to some other towns and see what they have.
Right.
Maybe, Union Bridge or New Windsor has an excellent idea that they do that we can adopt or modify, or another town.
Okay. All right, so we'll talk more about that. Reshuffle my stuff here. All right, a couple reminders. It's been mentioned a couple times, National Night Out, Tuesday, August 2nd, 6 to 8. Next council meeting here